Hey guys, this is Anand from Kratz Infotech NG, and I welcome you to another tutorial on Docker. This time around, the tutorial is about running Docker swarms. Docker swarms on Google Cloud Platform, which are running CentOS virtual machines. So for those of you who know about Docker swarms, Docker swarm is nothing but a cluster of Docker containers. These containers could be either Docker machines, which are provisioned specifically based upon the cloud platform or any of the platform that they're running on, or these could be actually virtual machines which have got Docker installed on them. So in this case, the use case that I'm going to pick up is something like this. I have a Google Cloud platform where I have provisioned a bunch of servers. These are CentOS servers, and they have Docker installed on each one of them. All right, so I would connect them together using the Docker Swarm modes, and before that I will provision one of our instance, which is nothing but a virtual machine running a CentOS operating system with Docker C installed on that. And once I provision this completely, I will connect them with the Docker Swarm mode, and then I'll let you know how easy is it to bring up a service on this Docker Swarm, to bring down one of the nodes and check, how is this service equally distributed, or how does Docker Swarm ensure that the level of service in terms of the number of nodes we requested for, or the number of instances of the container that we requested for, stays just the way it's supposed to be, or stays as expected. All right, so what I want to do is, first, let me just bring up my Google Cloud. I log into my Google Cloud account. For those of you who are new to Google Cloud and want to try it out using your free trial registration, this example can be tried using a free trial registration. So let me just first show you a firewall rule that I've set up, because the Docker Swarm would need few ports to be opened up. So I have a rule that is called open to the world, and this has got a bunch of TCP ports that are open up. I would want specifically these ports because these are the ports that Docker uses for Swarm connections. So just remember this, so that when I provision my box, I'm going to set up this as the firewall rule that I would want. All right, so this is my Google Cloud platform. So let me first provision a compute engine. Let me go to VM instances. All right, I'll create an instance. All right, I'll just give the name as worker node 1. I would choose a location which is close by to my location. 3.75, this is good. For the image, what I want to do is, I like this CentOS 7, so I'll choose CentOS 7. SSD 10 GB is good enough. Allow access to all cloud APIs. I want HTTP, HTTPS as well. And also, let me put up a label here. Just say name. Oops. Worker. A label is nothing but a tag, so you can either choose to add it or not add it. I like to add tags. All right, this is where I will pause the video for a second. I have a bunch of SSH keys that is created, a private and a public key. So I'm going to copy my public key out here, so that once I provision it, I should be able to SSH to it. So just hold on a second. Okay, I've copied my public key out here. Disks are good. Networking. All right, so this is where I open. Oops. I'll just copy and paste the firewall rule that I created, where I had all those ports that is open, because these are very much essential for the Docker Swarm for communication. So I'm going to add those network tags out here. Rest all looks good for me. So let me go ahead and hit the create button. All right. In the meanwhile, I have a problem with my browser. I haven't yet figured out what is wrong, but I am not able to connect to these using the browser. There's a couple of ways of connecting to the server that is provisioned. The easiest one is to click out here and run this, open in a browser window, but I could never get this to run on my box because I have something that blocks my connectivity to this machine. So what I typically do is, like, this is the IP address that for my server. So I bring up my putty instance, and I have my GCP. Load this. Setting up usernames and the keys are pretty simple. There are loads of videos which will tell you how to do this. So this is the username of my instance, or rather the key that I've keyed in, and this is the IP address of my server. The only thing that I got to ensure is I point to the private key of the key that I've put into my machine when I provisioned it. That's all that is required. So using this, let me log into this box. All right. So this is the box that I've quickly provisioned. Um, Google Cloud Platform, the way the infrastructure service works is pretty similar to AWS or Azure. So, there's nothing different. So this is the box that is running CentOS 7. So let me, um, who am I? That's me. All right, that's good enough. So sudo yum update -y. So since this is a new box that is provisioned, let me just update all the libraries that is, so that I will not have any problems when I install any other software on this box. So sudo is something that will give me access to install stuff, a sudo access to, or a root access kind of a thing for installing. Yum is a wonderful tool for installing any kind of packages. So I'm just upgrading all the libraries that is there on this fresh new brand box. All right, come on, come on. Okay, so that installed my upgraded all my libraries that is required. Now let me try to add, or rather get add a location from where I can download the latest Docker CE version. All right, so sudo, just wget is not that. Wget is a small utility that allows you to get something from the cloud or whatever is the URL. So let me install that. Sudo yum install wget. Yep, I want to install that. All right, that's done. Sudo. All right, that's done. So I have the repository from where I can get the latest CE edition. So let me go ahead and install this. Sudo yum install docker -c-y. Yes, I want to install it. Okay, that installed Docker for me. So let me start the Docker service. Oops. All right, that started Docker. Let me check the version. So good. So let me run some Docker run -it hello one. Docker login. Oops. Mhm. Looks like I forgot to add um, the user with which I'm running my host to the Docker user group. So let me just check if this works. Yeah, now I've added the present user to the Docker user group that is created. So let me duplicate the session because it takes a new session to try that out. All right. Okay. Now let me try this Docker run -id hello world. Okay. So I'm just running a simple hello world container just to check if everything is working as expected. So there you go. So I have one of my node that is set out, which is running CentOS, CentOS 7, and on this I have a simple Docker C edition that is installed. Um, and I've just started the Docker service on this. I now have two instances of my server up and running. So the other server, what I started is test server 2. This has got the same, I did the same configuration of CentOS, and then put Docker on it, and then started the Docker engine on it. So these are my two instances that is running. All right, so let me check the hostname -i. Just checking the IP addresses of each of these boxes. So this is a worker node, and this is a test server. So what I'll do is I will start a manager on this particular host, and I will start a worker node from this particular host. As I said earlier, your Docker Swarm is nothing but a cluster of a manager and a few worker nodes that are connected to it. All right, so let me just check it if I can ping each other. So I'll try to ping this guy. Oops. All right, he's able to ping. Okay, so they're both on the same network. They're able to ping each other, and Docker is installed on both these machines. So let me just try to create a Docker swarm. All right, this is the command for initializing a Docker swarm. And what I need to specify is the IP address from where the Docker swarm would be initialized. Now, bear in mind that I'm launching all these containers from virtual machines, which are hosted on Google Cloud. So, and I have a free tier account there. So the IP addresses that are created every time kind of keeps changing. So that is why what I want to do is just for this instance, just for this demo, I will just give the IP address of my machine. But then this IP address will keep changing every time I kind of bring down my server and start. But for the for this example or this demo, this should be good enough. And the port number is 2377, which we have earlier opened up. All right, the Docker daemon is not running. Sudo systemctl start Docker. I think the server went down from the time I last. All right, so let me try this command again. Okay, so this effectively tells me that the Docker swarm is initialized. This is the this is the address on which it is initialized. This is the port number. If anybody will have to join this Docker swarm as a worker node, he will have to run this command. So let me just copy this command. Oops. Copy and paste. My Control C, Control V skills are pretty bad. All right, there you go. Okay, now I started the Docker Swarm manager out here, and I've joined this particular swarm as a worker node using this terminal. So I've got two servers running. Here is the manager and this is the node. So if at all I do a um, docker node ls, all right, this clearly tells me that, okay, so this is the host name. I've got a test server 2 that is running, and this fellow is the manager or the leader. I've got one other node which is nothing but this guy, the other guy. All right, so he has joined it, and he's the worker node. This is the IP, I mean, the host name of the server that has joined in. Worker node is one is the other guy, and this is the test server 2. So this swarm is comprising of two nodes. First node is nothing but the test server 2, that is the node of this node, and he is the manager or the leader, and the other node is a worker node. So both these nodes are forming a cluster. So as of now, I do not have anything running on this cluster. I have just connected them together with the IP address that is advertised, and anyone can join this cluster with the with the token that was advertised earlier. So now what I'll do is, since I have these clusters up and running, let me try to create a very simple service. I'm going to create a service with two replicas, opening up this port 80 and exposing it as port 80 of the host, and I'm going to run a simple Nginx server on it. This is nothing but a simple web server. Alright, so what it does is it tries to see if at all the Nginx image is present locally. Since the image is not present, it goes to the Docker Hub registry, downloads this particular Docker image, and then it powers it brings up two containers because we asked for two replicas. So it will bring up two containers, which is powered by this Nginx image, and it's got the port that is exposed to the external world as 80. So that's the port. All right, so let's check if at all. All right, there you see there are two IDs or two containers that is running, and both of them are running Nginx latest version that is downloaded, and it's really the way the load is distributed depends upon the cluster at that moment and how many nodes are participating in that cluster. As of now, we just had two nodes, and you see that one of the images running on a test server 2, the other one on worker node 2. So both these nodes are running one images each. So let me just try to see if at all this I can hit this Nginx server which is running on this port 80. So let me look at the IP address of my machine. Right, let's see if this, I don't want the HTTPS, what I want is the HTTP. All right, this is one of the Nginx servers that is running, and the other one is running on this worker node 2. So these are nothing but the endpoints of my service. So I'm just checking if at all uh, I can connect to this Nginx servers that are hosted. So I have two instances that is running, or rather two endpoints of my service that is running, but both of them converge to the same service that is given out by my cluster. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to just show you how does the Docker Swarm manage the load. So in case I want to manage the load, I can just bump up the load by this very simple command. So I'm going to say that Docker service scale web is the name of the service that I gave when I ran my service, and instead of two replicas, I wanted to bump it up to 4 replicas. Alright, so typically what happens is now the images are present. I don't know what will be the distribution of the load or the services. Docker service scale. Okay. All right, so this is the command that will tell me as to how many instances are running on which node. So again, the distribution seems to be very fair. There are two instances that is running on my worker node, and there are two instances which are running on the manager or the test server too. Now let me simulate one more scenario where I would bring down one of the nodes, or rather I would bring down the Docker instance that is running one of the nodes. So I don't want to really virtually bring it down. So what I want to do is I will just use this command and drain out the worker node. So this is the command docker node update -- availability. I would just say that drain this worker node 1. All right. So what that essentially meant was that, maybe this, for some reason, one of the nodes that is participating in the swarm went down because of some network failure or operating system failure, or any of those failures. All right. So this fellow is drained out. His availability is drained out. Only this guy is active. Now let us see what is what is the workload. How is the workload? Because earlier we had 2 nodes that was participating, and the load was spread out. We had 4 instances. That was all right. So if you see this, shutdown, this is starting. So the worker nodes, which were running 2 instances, they have been brought down. But as and when that is happening, since we are requested or uh, the availability of 4 replicas, the Docker Swarm will ensure that if at all there are some other hosts which can run instances, as and when this worker node went down, the load is shifted out to the other instances. Since we don't have any other instance, we only have our manager who's running on this test server. So all the 4 instances are up and running on this particular server. That's how easy Docker ensures that the number of services is all kept as per the expectation. So let me just bring up this guy again. All right, so this would not have any effect. Oops, not this. Docker, what was the command? Docker node ls. All right, so now this guy is back in action. Earlier he was drained out, but now he's back in action. All right, so finally, let me just bring down this service. I don't want this to be up and running all the time. Alright guys, so that's a very quick introduction and demo of how easy is it to bring up Docker swarms on virtual machines which are running Docker containers, and a few commands for you to try out. Hopefully that you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any specific comment regarding the tutorial, please ensure that you comment it out in the comment section, and I'll try to answer that for you. Thanks a lot guys for stopping by and watching this tutorial. Hope it was useful for you. Thank you.